Storytale Kingdom. Story.
In a grand castle, the beautiful Princess Snow White gazes from a window, her heart full of dreams. But elsewhere, her stepmother, the vain queen, stands before her magic mirror, consumed by jealousy. "Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?" she demands. When the mirror's ghostly voice declares Snow White the fairest, the queen's face twists in rage. She watches from a balcony as Snow White, innocent and kind, wanders through the royal gardens, her beauty a painful reminder of the mirror's words. The queen's envy turns to a dark resolve. She summons the huntsman to the dim throne room and gives him a cruel order: take Snow White into the forest and eliminate her. The huntsman, his heart heavy, bows in obedience. Unaware of the plot against her, Snow White gathers flowers in the forest, with the huntsman secretly trailing behind. When he finally reveals himself, his hands tremble with conflict. Snow White freezes in terror, but the huntsman falls to his knees, unable to harm her. He confesses the queen's evil plan and begs the princess to run far away and never return. With his urgent plea echoing in her ears, Snow White flees into the darkening woods. The forest becomes a place of terror, with strange shadows and menacing shapes looming from all sides. Overwhelmed by fear, she collapses, her heart pounding. But as she kneels on the mossy ground, the creatures of the forest emerge, not to harm her, but to offer comfort. A small bird gently leads her through the trees, guiding her to a sunlit clearing where a quaint little cottage stands. Peeking through a window, Snow White sees a messy but cozy room. With no one home, she cautiously steps inside. The sight of 7 tiny chairs and a table cluttered with dirty dishes tells her this is the home of children. Her kind heart takes over, and she immediately starts to clean. She washes the dishes, tidies the furniture, and brings warmth back into the little home. Feeling weary, she climbs the stairs and discovers a bedroom with 7 small beds lined up in a row. Exhausted from her ordeal, she lies down across them and quickly falls into a deep sleep. As evening falls, the owners of the cottage return. 7 dwarfs, marching home from a long day's work in the mines, enter their home to find it sparkling clean. Puzzled, they tiptoe upstairs and find the beautiful princess sleeping in their beds. When Snow White awakens, she is greeted not with anger, but with gentle curiosity. The 7 dwarfs, each with a distinct and warm personality, introduce themselves one by one. Grateful for their kindness, Snow White tells them her story. The dwarfs, though cheerful, are wise to the queen's wickedness. They offer Snow White a safe home, but warn her never to open the door to strangers while they are away at the mine. Snow White promises, and a new, happy life begins for her in the heart of the forest. Meanwhile, back at the castle, the queen once again consults her magic mirror. When she asks who is the fairest, the mirror reveals that Snow White is still alive, hiding safely in the dwarf's cottage. The queen's fury knows no bounds. She descends into a secret laboratory hidden deep within the castle. There, surrounded by bubbling potions and strange ingredients, she concocts a wicked plan. She brews a powerful poison and dips a single, perfect apple into the deadly mixture. With a sip of another potion, she transforms herself into a stooped, harmless-looking old peddler woman. Disguised and determined, the queen makes her way to the cottage. Snow White, humming a tune by the window, sees the old woman approaching. Remembering the dwarf's warning, she is hesitant but feels pity for the frail figure. The disguised queen offers her a beautiful, shiny red apple, calling it a wishing apple. Charmed by the old woman and captivated by the apple's tempting appearance, Snow White forgets her promise. She takes the apple, makes a silent wish, and takes a single, fateful bite. In an instant, the poison takes effect, and she collapses to the floor lifeless. The queen, cackling in triumph, flees just as a storm breaks over the forest. When the dwarfs return home, they are met with a heart-wrenching sight. They find Snow White lying still on the floor, and rush to her side, but it's too late. Their cheerful home is filled with sorrow. Unable to bear the thought of burying her radiant beauty in the cold earth, they build a coffin of crystal and gold. They lay her inside and place it in a sunlit clearing, where they and the forest animals keep a constant, mournful watch. Seasons pass, but Snow White's beauty remains untouched by time, as if she were merely sleeping. One day, a prince from a neighboring kingdom, drawn by tales of the sleeping maiden, rides through the forest. He finds the clearing and is struck by Snow White's serene beauty. Overcome with a deep sense of love and sorrow, he kneels and gently kisses her. At the touch of his kiss, the magic spell is broken. Snow White's eyes flutter open, and she awakens to the astonished faces of the dwarfs and the adoring gaze of the prince. Life and color return to her cheeks, and she rises, alive and well. The forest erupts in joy. The prince asks Snow White to return with him to his kingdom, and with a grateful farewell to her dear friends, she agrees. As they ride away towards a glistening castle in the distance, the evil queen watches from a high, stormy cliff. Seeing that her wicked plan has failed, she is consumed by a final, desperate rage. She stumbles backward, loses her footing on the treacherous rock, and plummets into the abyss below, gone forever. Snow White arrives at the prince's castle to a joyous welcome. The kingdom celebrates the return of light and goodness. She and the prince, standing hand in hand, promise to build a life together, and their love fills the land with happiness. In the forest, the dwarfs smile, knowing their beloved princess is finally safe. Snow White, no longer a hunted princess, but a cherished queen, stands on the castle balcony, looking out at her new home. Her journey through darkness has ended, and her story, once filled with fear, is now and forever filled with light, love, and the promise of a happily ever after.